Hey everyone, it's Lynnea with a video for Therm O Web, and the theme for this video is fun with flock mixed with a food theme. So I'm going to be making a fun donut card, and I'm going to use a bunch of the Decofoil flock transfer sheets. So I'm going to start out here with the Decofoil foam adhesive double-sided sheets. These are just big long sheets of thin foam that have adhesive on both sides. So I have some pieces of 110-pound cardstock. You could really use any cardstock here. It's not going to matter because you're not going to see it at all. But I'm just going to peel back one of the layers of that adhesive, the backing sheet, pull it back, put the cardstock on top, and then trim away the excess. I'm not going to waste any of this because this is some of my favorite foam adhesive. It is thin, which I love, but it's super, super sticky, which again, I love. So I'm gonna do this to a couple sheets of white cardstock, and then I'm going to grab my trimmer and trim down some pieces of flock, and I'm going to use all 6 colors of the flock transfer sheets. The only ones I'm not using are the white and the black. So when you trim this flock transfer sheets, you need to do it face down. So you should be cutting through the white backing. If you try to cut the color side up, you're gonna end up shredding your flock. And also when I cut, I only bring my blade down the one time. I'm not really sure if it matters if you go back and forth, but I didn't want to take any chances, and it cut through beautifully with just the one pass. So face down and just cut through the one time. So then I grabbed my piece of cardstock that I have that double-sided foam adhesive on and peeled back the other backing, and that's where I put the flock face up. I ran that through my die cut machine just to really press the flock into the double-sided adhesive. At that point I didn't have any dies, I just ran it through on its own. And now I am grabbing my stamp set from the stamp market. It's called just Donuts, and it comes with a set of dies as well. So I'm going to be cutting the base of the donut, which is basically just a circle with a center hole cut out from some craft cardstock. And then I will be putting the layering piece of the donut die. That's what I'm going to be cutting out from my flock. I used a piece of purple tape just to hold it down, but you do want to make note that the purple tape will pull up the flock because that flock is meant to stick to anything adhesive. So just be mindful of where you're putting your purple tape, because I was trying to get as many donuts out of this flock as I could so that I don't waste any. And I got 2 or 3 little layers out of each color. So obviously I have way more than I need for this project, but I can always make more. So now I'm going to use the stamp set, and the stamp set has a bunch of like decorative icing pieces to it. So I figured I would try, this is my first time trying heat embossing on the flock transfer sheets. So I'm just using some Versamark ink. I use my powder tool just like I would if I was embossing on paper. I grabbed that sprinkle stamp and I stamped it onto the blue flock transfer sheet, and then I'm just going to dunk it right into my white embossing powder. And it looks like it stuck really well. The anti-static powder tool made it so that it didn't stick everywhere. But now as I'm heat embossing it, I love how that white embossing powder, you know, if you use it on regular cardstock, it turns bright white and the color like pops out. But on the flock, it almost kind of like sinks down into the flock. And it gave me this subtle, like chalky look. And I love how it looks when I put the whole card together. Nothing's really popping out in your face. I love that subtle effect of like, oh, here's some sprinkles and here's some little swirlies. So I ended up stamping all of my donuts. Originally, I was just going to have a couple of them, but I loved the way that this looks so much that I decided to stamp one of each color. And I used the swirls, I used the hearts, I used the standard sprinkles, and I did one of each color for this project because everything's better in rainbows, even donuts. So now it's time to glue the flock layers onto the donut, the craft donut piece. And I'm using some iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. I put it into one of my little bottles just because it's easier for me to manage than the big bottle. I like that fine tip. And I'm just gluing them onto the craft. I love this adhesive because I don't have to worry about, is it gonna hold? You know, it holds everything. I've used this on every project since I got it, and I love this glue. It's super awesome. So I die cut a background just to give it some interest. I arranged my donuts how I wanted, and I knew I would never get them back the same way. So I took a piece of purple tape and I ran it up and down my arm a little bit to kind of get all that stick off of it. I just wanted it to be really lightly tacky because remember that flock will adhere to sticky things. So I didn't want it to pull off of my donuts, but I wanted my donuts to be able to be held together. So I was able to glue all of my donuts that are on the first layer and then stick them down onto my card, and they all held the position that I wanted. I grabbed some Gina K Designs foam squares and put them on the back of that blue donut, as well as some of the iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive, just so that I am sure that everything is holding really well. I stamped a sentiment from the donut stamp set that I used before with some black ink, and now I'm just going to glue that right across the center of my card. I'm going to use a double layer of the foam squares on the left side and the right side, and then just some of the iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive across the middle to hold it to that blue donut. And that is it. This is my card. I hope you really enjoyed this fun food-themed flock card. And I hope that you have found some inspiration here for die cutting your flock transfer sheets, and I hope you'll try heat embossing on your flock transfer sheets. To see some still photos, go ahead and head over to the Therm O Web blog, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!